Hello, my name is Zoe Harcum and I'm author of The Harcum Diet. Where do I start with this one? One of the biggest myth folklores in the entire history of dieting is the idea that 1 pound equals 3,500 calories, and that then to lose 1 pound you've got to create a deficit of 3,500 calories. Or conversely, if you eat 3,500 calories more than your body needs, you will gain 1 pound of fat. There is no substance in this whatsoever. Please, the next time you hear this, say to the person who is saying this to you, or in the document that you see it in, write to the producer of the document and ask them for proof of this formula. Where did it come from? And ask them to prove it. There are 3 absolutely massive fundamental things wrong with this formula, and I'll just run through these now. First of all, 1 pound does not equal 3,500 calories. That number relies on 3 facts. It relies on 1 pound equaling approximately 454 grams, which it does. That one is a fact. It relies on 1 gram of fat being 9 calories, which it is not precisely enough anyway for that formula to have any validity whatsoever. And it relies on human fat tissue being circa 87% lipid fat content, and that is also not a fact. So those 3 numbers, only one of them is actually a fact to many decimal places. Now, if I'm as generous as I possibly can be, and I try to use the 454 grams, 9 calories for a gram of fat, and 87% lipid, the closest I can get to that formula is 3,555. That's close enough, you may well say. But if you go to the National Obesity Forum website, they will say if you eat 1 extra rich tea biscuit, 55 calories, let's say, every day over the next year, you're going to be 6 pounds heavier by the end of the year, because they just apply that 3,500 formula as if the body somehow adheres to a mathematical formula, which of course it doesn't. Now, the formula being wrong by 55 calories, where does that leave the biscuit theory? Well, actually, it leaves us in the mad situation that if we don't have the biscuit, and I don't have a rich tea biscuit every day, I should be 6 pounds lighter by the end of the year. The literal application of this number falls at the first hurdle, because I can get 1 pound to equal anything from 2,800 calories up to nearer 4,000 calories. That can make a difference of over 100 stone in a period that we've seen during which we've had the obesity epidemic. Don't worry, you're not going to put on 100 stone or lose 100 stone. This formula is completely, fundamentally, utterly unprovable, unworkable. So number 1, 1 pound does not even equal 3,500 calories. Number 2, the body just simply does not behave like a Bunsen burner. The whole notion of a calorie, if you can remember back to school, we put a peanut under a Bunsen burner, we burn it, and we can measure, we get about 2 calories from this peanut. And a calorie is just a unit of energy. So that's what we're seeing when we put it under the Bunsen burner. The idea that I can set off now for a walk, and if I can find any fat anywhere, my body would choose to use 100 calories of available energy in some fat cells when I set off on a walk is just frankly so ludicrous, I almost don't even know where to start. First and foremost, my body's going to use any glucose that's available in my bloodstream. Then it's going to use, that's any carbohydrate I've eaten in the last few hours. Then it will use any fat, then it will use any protein, then it will go to my glycogen storage room, which may well get me through a whole day's worth of basal metabolic rate. Failing that, it will go to lean tissue before it will go to fat. Because if it thinks it's in a starvation situation, it will dump the part of you that needs the most energy, and that's the lean tissue. So the idea that you can do an hour in the gym and see that calorie machine saying you've burned 200 calories and think in any way, shape or form that is fat that's come off your body just shows that anyone using this formula has no knowledge of human biochemistry. Now, the third thing is it actually doesn't matter whether 1 pound equals 3,500 calories or 3,000 calories or 5,000 calories, because there is no obesity journal anywhere in the last 100 years that will show if we give people a deficit of any number of calories, they will lose a particular amount of weight. The body just simply does not adhere to a formula. If you have any doubt about this, we'll put the URL up on this video. Please see my blog on the Minnesota starvation experiment. The definitive experiment on what happens if a human tries to eat less has been done, and you will not lose the pound that you expect to lose. Every time this experiment has been repeated, it has been shown that you will not lose the amount that you're expected to lose. So I had a bit of fun last summer, and I decided to write to the organisations that use this formula ad infinitum: the National Health Service, the National Institute for Clinical Excellence, the Department of Health, the National Obesity Forum, Association for the Study of Obesity, and of course the British Dietetic Association, and the specialist, obesity specialists within that organisation, dietitians in obesity management. I asked all 7, where does this formula come from and can you prove it? 5 came back and said words to the effect of, do you know, we don't know where it comes from. They didn't actually even try to prove it. 2 came back and tried to prove it and gave me the same example. Interestingly, it was an example from the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, where 12 people, one study of 12 people, we have 40 million obese, overweight people in the UK, and they could only come up with 12 people that they had put on a calorie-controlled diet with a specified deficit for a period of 12 months. According to the formula, these people should have lost 62.56 pounds of fat alone, more on top in terms of lean tissue and water, and the average weight loss for these 12 people was 11 pounds. And the formula didn't even apply equally. Somebody lost 0.7 of a pound and somebody, I think, lost about 17 pounds. If a formula works, it applies to everyone equally all the time, no matter what gender, no matter how heavy they are to start with. To give you the final ludicrous example of this calorie theory, I weigh 110 pounds and I eat probably around 2,500 calories a day. If I cut back by 1,000 calories, allegedly according to this formula, I'm going to be 8 pounds within a year. Do you really, really think we can continue to believe in this formula anymore? There is no formula when it comes to weight loss, and we have to stop using this myth, which is making people think that they will lose 2 pounds of fat a week when you absolutely will not. If you want to see what works instead, come and join us at the Hark and Diet Club, and we'll keep you on track eating real food and no longer starving yourselves. Thanks very much for listening.